welcome. Hopefully you are able to listen and everything's all set up correctly. I kind of checked everything and it looks like we're all set. So I am going to talk about a couple different things today. So the first thing I want to talk about is kind of what to expect from these live sessions that I do. So first of all, I'm going to be doing this live session on esports every other week throughout the semester, but we're actually going to be starting that next week. So I think next week we'll start next week. This week I'm doing two, one from both of my courses, and today I'm going to start this one. So next week we'll start esports, and then from then on it'll be every other week. Today we're going to talk about intro to esports, and the way I do these is they're just kind of, I do whatever during the videos. Most of the time I will talk, show you stuff. We're going to go over things that I've been covering in my courses and just things I'm interested in esports. It can be anything. Anyone's allowed to watch these videos. These aren't just for my classes. They're for anybody. But I just kind of do them, and I think it's a great supplement for people learning about this stuff. So today I'm going to show you a couple things on my desktop. I've got my video going full screen right now, but I'll turn that off. So just so you are aware of that, I record these using OBS. If you're curious about the tech I use, I do use OBS for this, and I'm on my third monitor, which you actually can't see. You can see I've got monitor 1, monitor 2 here in the background going. But yeah, so I should be doing another esports one next week, and then every other week from there on out. So should be kind of cool. I like doing the live videos. They're a lot of fun. They're always random, like things happen, like me dropping my pencil and stuff like that. My kids will like scream in the background. They're actually at the pool right now, so they're not doing that. But yeah, and if you have questions, feel free to jump on, ask me questions as I go through via YouTube, or you can always ask me questions on just the YouTube because it's obviously recorded, so you can go watch it whenever you want to, and ask me questions then. And I always get my YouTube comments because I get a bunch per day. I'm always on there checking them several times per day, so I'll get to your comment pretty quick. But yeah, that's that. So a little bit about me. This is my first semester teaching esports, which is super awesome. You know, I've been at UNCW now. This is year 11 for me. I've been teaching in instructional technology since 2006. I was an adjunct at that time, doing like ed tech, mostly tech classes, like teaching people how to make websites, at the time use Adobe Flash, which doesn't even exist anymore, how to, a lot of like the Flash program. I was a big Flash programmer in the 90s and early 2000s. How to use Adobe Photoshop, how to use Adobe Illustrator, which are still super popular stuff. A lot of game design and some game development. I've been teaching game design at UNCW for a while, for 10 years, so a lot of that. And not so much the programming aspect, but more like how do you design a game, what goes into it, and stuff like that. How do you create the story and all that stuff. And I recently actually created a game this spring. I created a game concept that we're trying to sell. So that's kind of exciting. And yeah, that's a little bit about me. I mean, I've been playing video games since the Magnavox Odyssey. If you don't know what that is, you probably need to look it up. I started with the Magnavox Odyssey 2, actually. When I was a little kid, for some reason, my parents bought me two. And I had the Atari 2600 and the Magnavox Odyssey 2. So yeah, I had both of those. And then obviously every system, like I had the first Nintendo when it came out, the first Sega Genesis Master System, or Sega Master System, and then I had the Super Nintendo, and then the N64, every Nintendo. I've had every Nintendo forever, even, you know, I mean, even the handheld. I started with the Game Boys and which I still have my Game Boy up here. But anyway, so that's a little bit about my background, and I just wanted to kind of go through that a little bit. The first thing that I want to talk about today is I want to talk about what is esports and what's been happening at esports at UNCW, and then I'm going to get into a few other topics. I want to talk a little bit about some of the history stuff. I want to talk about a cool show I've been watching on Netflix about the history of gaming and esports, which I'm going to tell you to watch because it's awesome, and talk a little bit about my review on it. And yeah, that's kind of most of the stuff we're going to talk about today. So what is esports? Esports is are competitive video games. If I had to describe it to someone in one sentence, esports are competitive video games. Games people play competitively against another person for some kind of award, prize, or whatever. But obviously, if you're watching this, you know it's much more than that. It's a community, right? It's a lifestyle. It's a community. You know, a lot of us who are really involved in it and love video games, it's our life. It's our lifestyle. You know, it becomes part of us, a big part of us to an extent, because it's our community. It's where we find our friendships and everything else, which is awesome. For me, it's something that I now can enjoy. It's like awesome. I have little kids and they like it, which I don't know if that's good or bad. If you ask my wife, she'd probably get a different opinion. No, she thinks it's good too, but it's like something I can now do with my kids. Like I can share this experience with them, even though we don't really play the same games. We can at least talk about stuff. Like they'll come up to me and be like, "Dad, do you know what GG is?" "You don't know." And I'm like, "You realize I've been typing that out for years now in League of Legends." So, you know, they get surprised. Like, "Whoa, Dad knows that?" Which is kind of funny. But esports are competitive video games. You know, I did a history of esports video, which you definitely need to watch if you haven't watched that. But, you know, esports, when I was a kid, was nothing. I mean, there was no such word as esports. We just had video game competitions. We had some cool competitions out there that would be held in like Vegas or New York City or Los Angeles. But man, I lived in a small town in Pennsylvania and there were no video game competitions unless I was driving to New York, Philly, or Pittsburgh. And even then, those weren't really big ones. And there was no publicity back then. It was like we had Nintendo Power Magazine and that was it. It wasn't going to be in the newspaper, maybe the local newspaper. It wasn't going to be on the news. So you couldn't, there wasn't like a good way to spread information. And that's one of the reasons why esports didn't take off until Twitch was formed. As soon as video game streaming happened, competitive esports blew up. You know, we had the numbers, we had the gamers already. I mean, how many of, you know, when I was growing up, I would watch my friends, we would have competitions in our dorm room or an apartment and we would watch each other play, but we couldn't do it online because there was no way to stream it. You could like hold your camera up to the screen. And for those of you that have ever held a camera up to the screen, no, it doesn't work. Terrible idea. And I actually shouldn't move that right now because it'll like fall down while I'm doing this. Terrible, terrible idea to do that. But as soon as we got streaming, esports changed significantly because all of a sudden, in addition to all of us gamers who are sitting there playing the games, we could all of a sudden show the world what we were doing. And it changed everything. So let's talk about some of the numbers of esports. You know, when I talk about what is esports, everyone cares about something different, but numbers for the top esports competitions are similar to that of the Super Bowl. 100 million people viewing it. 100 million. Super Bowl. The only other sport that has a higher viewership, soccer. NBA, not even close. Major League Baseball, not even close. National Hockey, not even close. Not even close to esports. How crazy is that? It's just amazing to think about the viewership and the numbers. And not only that, esports is happening 24/7. So if you think about like football, and we get into the discussion of whether esports is a sport or not, but you think about football. Can I watch professional football 24/7? No. In America, I can watch professional football. How many games do they play? 13 to 18 games, something like that. That's it. That's all I got. I got a season, a real quick season. Guess what? I can go on Twitch right now, and I'm not going to necessarily do it. I'll see if I can find it really quick. I can go right into the app, and I can find professional video gamers, and I can watch them play. Now, they might not be playing competitively right now, but they're playing. And if I went to Twitch right now and checked their numbers, there's probably like 2 million people on here, not streaming. There are 2 million people on here watching other people play video games. 2 million people on here right now, 3 in the afternoon on a Thursday, watching other people play video games. And that's not all that doesn't include the people actually playing the games and streaming them. That's what's awesome about this. It's literally a 24/7 thing. When there is no competition, you can watch competition and you can compete yourself all the time. It's amazing because there are competitions. Games have ranking systems and competitions. So I can compete in games 24/7 as much as I would like to. Now, 24/7 stuff is not healthy, and I'll talk about that in some later videos when I do this. But for now, I just wanted to kind of draw this clear picture of how popular esports are. So they are pretty cool. Oh, and how long do I make these things? It depends. I might be doing a video for 10 minutes. I might be here for 60 minutes. Today, I'm shooting for like about 25 to 30 minutes, so not too long. Just as kind of like the intro quick. So that's kind of what are the esports. So what are esports? And to write esports, you know, I'm very loose in how I write anything. I think that we have the grammar police bothers me sometimes. And they're bothering me with esports because there's no... So one of the downfalls of esports is there is no regulating body at this point. There's no like official... Like, you know how football has the NFL. Basketball has the NBA. We don't have that for esports. Esports is the Wild West. We have people right now duking it out to become that. We don't have it. Until that's established, it's the Wild West. So we have people saying all kinds of different things. I've seen esports written like E-sports or lowercase e, capital S sports, capital E, lowercase, the way you would write like email and stuff. It's written all kinds of different ways. The general, it seems like the consensus right now is that it's written the same way email is, or e-learning. So that's kind of how I've been writing it for the most part, but it doesn't matter, and I don't care how other people write it. It's fine. It's all right. Do I know what they're saying? You know what? And a lot of people that don't know the field are just calling it e-gaming. Whatever. You know what? I don't care. Call it whatever you want to. If you're supporting it and you're happy, you're a gamer, you feel good, what do I care how you say it? I'm happy that the person's happy. So that's my take on it, but just so you know. And if you're, you know, applying to a job, typing it formally, I'd probably write it the same way that the employer writes it. Okay. What is happening at UNCW Esports? So, yesterday we actually did a really cool video. A few of the founders of the Esports Club, not all of them, but I got a few of them together. And we did a reflection on our first year at Esports because we really started Esports at UNCW. We technically started spring of 2019 with the club, starting the paperwork and process. But Esports did not start at UNCW until last September. I mean, we're literally at 1 year. We went from having a club, the idea of a club, to having club teams, full curriculum, and talking about arena and partners and sponsors in less than a year. Absolutely crazy. So where are we? So we have club. We have a club. Our club is doing great. We have tons of people who are helping out. We have our first meeting tonight. It's actually awesome. Our club is very, very, very active. Our Discord, oh, I don't have it up in the background here, is super active. Lots of people involved and doing all kinds of, everyone's got their own interests. Some people are interested in streaming. Some people are interested in building a computer. Some people are interested in one game and that's it. Some people are interested in competition. That's it. Whatever it is. There's a place for everyone, which is kind of cool. So we have a club. Our club is holding tournaments. So we have a tournament coming up actually next Friday. We have our first tournament. This tournament is going to be Mario Kart. It's kind of fun. It's going to be all online because of coronavirus. So we're trying that out. So we got a tournament coming up. We have several teams. Right now, we officially have Valorant, Overwatch, Rocket League, League of Legends teams. Oh, and a Smash team, even though Smash is individual. We're practicing together and training and stuff. So we have a number of teams. And the teams, some of the players on the teams are exceptionally awesome in that they are professional level. So we have some really, really... Oh, and we're forming a Call of Duty team as well. And when Halo Infinite comes out, I think we're going to form that. And we've been talking about Fall Guy now because it's a lot of fun. Everyone's having fun with it, which I totally need to buy that game. I haven't. I showed it to my kids yesterday, and as soon as they saw... It's funny, on the main website of Fall Guy. Let me go to it quick. Here. Let's see. We'll go to the main website. So you go to the main website here. Oh, this is not their main website. Let's see. Maybe you did. Oh, here we go. So you go to the main website, and basically what this is, what is this game? You're these beans. And you do all kinds of goofy stuff like fight, and it looks really interesting. I've yet to play it. But my kids were checking. I told my kids to go too because I said, hey, we're probably going to buy this. And on the website, oh, where did he see that? Read more, maybe. Anyway, he saw that Dan TDM, who's one of their favorite streamers, because my kids love Minecraft, so they watch a lot of Dan TDM, said that this was one of his like newest favorite games. So my kids are like, oh my god, Dan TDM likes this, we got to get it. So anyway, pretty cool, and it's only $20, and it seems fun and interesting. But my wife kind of jumped in. She can be like, she's not, she likes video games, but she's like, you don't need to keep buying every single one. So needless to say, we might not be buying this game just yet. Let's see. Let me go back to me being on the screen here. There we go. And cool. So I am back. And so anyway, we're talking about that as a game, and we're doing like game nights, which is pretty cool. And once the teams get going, we'll start competing in tournaments. And then in addition to that, we're doing all kinds of other stuff. So first of all, we have this curriculum, which is our esports certificates, which I'm teaching now. And in addition to that, we're talking about arena. We're talking about real money, getting real money. If you're watching this and you have like a couple $1 million, if you have $1 million laying around that you don't need, we will take it and build an arena. You can support UNCW Esports. Get your name on the arena or whatever it is. You will get it. Kind of cool. We've got a logo. We've got t-shirts. We are reaching out to the community a lot. Community is a big thing about what we're doing. Trying to really get the high schools involved, help them out, help them start clubs, spread the word. Our goal is really to make UNCW and Wilmington like a hub for esports. And so far, like, we're doing an amazing job at it. Like, I'm so impressed. My students are awesome. You guys are awesome if you're watching this. All right. So there's that. Okay, let's talk about, get into some next stuff. So I mentioned this, is esports a sport? And it's kind of interesting. So if I actually turn my camera, which I'm not going to do, because it'll mess up my, I don't need to turn my camera, but I actually have a bike next to me in my office here. I have a bike, and it's on a trainer. And when I bike, I am competing against other people biking. Like a real sport, like we're biking in a sport, or like imagine running on a treadmill and competing with other people, or like what Peloton does, that kind of thing. So is esport a sport? So there's that, which I just talked about, the where you're physically doing something, and then there's the, you know, video game play that we're doing. This is an Xbox controller that I've been using to play Halo 3 on my computer, though I'm trying to switch to the mouse and keyboard. Is esports a sport? Well, chess is considered a sport. It's strategic, and you have to beat another person. I mean, it really is the definition of a sport. A lot of people think sport means, you know, some kind of physical activity. Is gaming a physical activity? Yes and no. So first of all, it does involve hand-eye coordination. It involves being quick. It involves dexterity. You have to have good reflexes. And you have to be able to problem solve very fast. You have to be able to communicate with with yourself or with a team. So it does involve all those kind of skills. And then if you look at like the best esports players and what the teams are doing now, they're training. They are learning how to stretch their bodies, getting ergonomic chairs, getting keyboards that fit their body correctly. They are lifting weights, exercising, eating properly, getting a good night's sleep, doing all the stuff the other sports do too. So yes, in my opinion, it's very much a sport. But you know what? Everyone's got their own take on that. And to be honest with you, I could care less what anyone else thinks. I'm just glad even if they don't think esports is a sport, they recognize that there's something there. And that's fine with me. That's good enough. That's all I can ask. And I'm happy with that. Okay, so I've kind of talked about all the big stuff I wanted to talk about today, just the intro stuff. I have no questions so far. So I'm going to go to my screen and let's see, I'm going to go back here. And let me actually pull up OBS because I want to get myself on the screen. So let's do that. We don't need to go full screen. I don't want to do that. I don't even know what that is. Why can't I see myself? Oh, there we go. Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I see myself. Perfect. I can make myself really, really, really tiny, really big. Okay, let me do that. And what I want to go to. All right. Let me see. Can I see this? Yes. Okay, so we got this series, High Score. So this is a brand new series, literally just released on Netflix. And it's pretty cool. The screen here, just even look at the screen, is like memory lane for me. Like they got a Nintendo controller. If you see, I've got my Nintendo controller. Oh, you can't see that, can you? I've got my Nintendo controller. This is actually a Switch controller that looks like a Nintendo controller, but you get the idea. You know, they've got the Nintendo gun, which I have downstairs actually in my house. They got the NES Advantage controller, which is this big controller here on the lower right-hand side. That's called the NES Advantage. It was used for the NES back in the 80s. They've got an Atari controller. This is an Atari controller, NES Advantage, NES controller, Atari controller, gun for the NES. I have no idea what that controller is for. It looks like a Nintendo controller, but I never saw it. Super Nintendo right here, both of these. And then some of this stuff I don't know. That's a Super Nintendo game. Oh, Game Boy. Yeah, I guess I reckon there's Game Boy. Yeah, I guess I recognize all the stuff. Yeah, so I mean, maybe that, I mean, the fact that I can recognize all of these, my wife probably would not think that's cool, but I do. Okay, so this series, High Score. So I've gotten through the first episode so far, and I'm really excited to watch the rest. It's awesome. It's a little cheesy, but they've got the guy who invented Pac-Man on here. You can't get any cooler than that. They got the guy that invented Pac-Man. They talk about video games and esports, combine the histories in one, which I'm very appreciative of because it's not easy to do, and they are one and the same to an extent, but they do have a different history and background. But the show capitalizes on that, and it really digs down and goes into some deep history. I'm learning from it. There are some things in there that I didn't know, some people that they found, like the person who invented something that no one really knew invented it kind of thing, and it's neat to watch that. And just to hear those interviews, it's awesome. So it's called High Score. It's on Netflix. It's brand new, like just came out. Such a cool series. Totally give it some time to watch. And reminding me about the show and what they did with getting people to interview. So I've been doing interviews. I just said I interviewed the Esports Club yesterday. Just put it on my like year one reflection. But what I am trying to do is I am doing a series of interviews, and I really want to interview some of the guys who are guys or girls, the people who created some of these video games. I want to meet them. These are my idols, people who did this stuff. I emailed the guy who created the game Adventure, the game with the first Easter egg. It was when people ask me what's my favorite video game of all time, I say Adventure, hands down. When I was that was like one of the first video games I ever played as a kid, and I loved it. And it's the weirdest game ever that makes zero sense when I look at it now. But man, when I was a little kid, it's just the cover of it, and the whole game was so amazing to me. One of my first games I remember, and I just loved it. So I sent him an email to interview him. He hasn't gotten back to me yet. So if you're watching this and you know that guy or he's watching it, please interview me. I want to meet that guy. But I want to meet all these people. I want to meet these people. I want to interview them. I want my students to be able to see them and hear the questions that I'm interested in asking them. Because I'm not necessarily interested. I'm interested in their whole story. Everything. Up to where they are today. Not just about the game. I don't know who these people are. How do you get creative enough to create that? Like, that's just amazing to me. And I love, you can see my background here. I've got all kinds of like art and stuff hanging up. That's my art. I love creation. I'm a creator. That's why I'm on YouTube creating. I love creating stuff. That's why I was a web designer. I love creating. So when I meet other people who do that, I'm always just fascinated by them. I think they're the most interesting people to talk to. I just love hearing about like what goes through their head. Is always really cool. So I love meeting people, and you know, I'm doing these interviews, and I'm trying to interview gaming people right now because I think it's a really cool way for me to connect with the community. So hopefully that happens, and you start to see some of these people that maybe you don't get to see very often, or aren't getting the attention they really deserve. I mean, I look at the guy that created Adventure like someone looks at Michael Jordan. So, you know, that's how I look at it. So it'd be awesome if I can interview some of these people. So hopefully you'll get to see some really cool, interesting interviews. But that's everything I got for today, and I hope you enjoy. Next week I'm going to start to get into more content. Today was just basically like an introduction and an intro into esports. I'm going to start to get into more clear topics each week. Each time we do this will be more of like a standard topic, and I'm going to have a lot more to show and stuff. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I enjoy talking to everybody. I enjoy doing these kind of videos. It's always fun. It gives me something to do. It's always exciting. So have a nice day, everybody. And if you do have any questions, always feel free to pop them up on my channel here. People in my classes, you can always ask me questions in the forum, but I'm always available.